Woo! That late break. That late break. What's going on, people? What's going on, people? People, what's going on? What's going on? Listen, it is the Up Inside Your Podcast. Pleasant good night to everybody. It is the Up Inside Your Podcast powered by Allery Media Productions. You know what? Every week, every Thursday at 8 p.m., we come directly to you via this YouTube channel. We ask you to like, share, and subscribe to you and yours. Let everybody know what's happening. We had a really good conversation last week, and we want to keep that energy going. We want to keep that vibe going. See my man Tyron's in a celebratory mood for some reason. Got things in the background there. No realize my man.
That don't really represent celebration, but go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, as I said, good night and welcome to the Up Inside Your Podcast, where each week we get up inside your thoughts, your feelings, analyzing issues affecting Barbados and the world today. I am Chad, your host, and with me tonight so far is Janelle and Tyron. Big up yourself, Keldor. Big up yourself. There, you don't know what's going on. So, people that we always ask you to remember, please give us a like when you enter the chat. Just click like underneath the screen right there. Tonight we are going to be talking about the rift between Vaxxers and anti-vaxxers. I absolutely hate the term Vaxxer and anti-vaxxer. I can just put that out there so early. I absolutely hate the term. I hate the fact that the term has become almost like a household term, because if you have taken the vaccine, you're considered pro-vaccination, and if you have not taken it, you are automatically categorized as anti-vaxxer. And I'm here to tell you tonight that that's absolutely false. And because of that misinformation, it is causing bigger problems than the actual issues that are going on themselves, right? Because treating people as what they don't want to be called or labeled as, this causes problems.
Very much so.
You know, and that's a common sense thing. I don't need a scientific degree, or I don't need to be versed in microbiology or any such thing to understand such a simplistic premise. So with that being said, the rift between Vaxxers and anti-vaxxers, will it turn violent? I gonna get to Tyron last, because I know Tyron got things that gonna come from now to about 8:45. So we gonna talk.
I appreciate that I can get a little word in earlier.
Yeah, we gonna talk with Janelle. Janelle, when this topic came about, tell us how you felt. What basically came to mind, how you felt about it personally, etc., etc. So chop it up for me, man.
Well, I can tell you for sure. Well, first of all, let me just say season's greetings to all of you. I'm here drinking my
all of that. Ready? Listen, show some respect, man.
Yes.
Where my finger is. Show some respect.
Season's greetings. Let me tell you. But on a real, when it very first would have gone the topic, my head was like, Jesus, I am just over it. I am over this discussion so much. But I do share what you said. I don't remember, like, sometimes you will have quarrels about when you would say like one of women, or if you say, you know, or I might say one of men. I can't. I struggle with those categories. Are you categorizing people and things? I don't like it. And certainly when it comes to being pro-vax and anti-vax, you can have a position on something and your position can change as well. You don't have, it's not that everybody is hard and fast on one side or another. And like for me from the beginning, I was telling, I am very pro-choice. I believe that people should have a choice to determine if they want or not, and it should not be anything that is mandated. And then we're seeing, as people will say, the mandatory vaccination through coming through the back door. So then that also was running through my head. So as I said, I am pro-choice. If you are vaccinated, good for you. If you do not want to be vaccinated, good for you. That is up to you. But one, I don't want that it turns into violence, that it is one person against another. My students actually raised this point that this conversation is splitting families. it is hurting. And then even the line that the government is going down, and one day I can say, you know what, I sympathize with the government, and then the next day they go and put their foot in their mouth, and then it is like, well, you know, you are now putting people more against you. So when this conversation, it is not going to stop. So I might be tired of it, I might be tired of hearing about it, but it's not going to stop if the policies are not clear, if the government does not listen to the people and realize, hey, I am not doing the right, my words are not coming out in the right way, let's pull back. All of that, they have to take these things into consideration, and also people have to think about what they want for themselves personally. So I hope that we get to discuss that before Tyrone carries us to 9 o'clock. But personal choice, right?
Cha.
We got you, nobody. We got you. Be here to listen.
Well, yeah,
I thought about it, and it was like, you know what? I could go off on a tangent on this topic, as we all know, and I really trying to not do that. I want to really focus in on one end on the subject matter. And I think that anybody who is, when you create a purposefully divisive propaganda machine that has sects, and that's sects of people, or pre-named sects to put people into, you will always drive division, and it is purposeful. It is not something that just happened organically. That was purposefully done to create this kind of division, where you would say, you know, you want to separate. Now, this is not to be condescending or insulting to anybody, but the sheep from the goat. Realistically, who is the propaganda working on, who is not working on? That gives you a very big idea, even though there might be some people who your propaganda is not working on, but still might find themselves in this sect over here. Like, let's say, for example, somebody who recognizes, hey, what's going on ain't really what they're saying, but I can still go over here and take the vaccine just in case. There are people like that, but in a general sense, you can get a very good idea as to who your propaganda is working on and who it isn't working on, based on people's response and the actions that they take. And that divide will always turn into arguments, and of course, going towards the topic, hopefully it doesn't turn to violence. It has in some parts of the world already. Hopefully that doesn't get any more. I'm actually seeing a lot more unity in some parts of the world. People are standing together, who've taken and who hasn't taken, against things like segregation and mandates and vaccine passports and the rest of it. And people are saying, you know, I've taken this vaccination to protect myself, but you can't decide as well who I should hang around. If I decide to say I am Chad and I vaccinate, and I decide to say I am going to hang around Janelle, you can't say, all right, no, come and let me grab a little Chad from my Janelle house because Chad hadn't gotten a vaccine. Because that is basically the state making decisions for you. People don't realize that either. So when you have that happening, and that purposeful division being created, you have to recognize the manipulation that is taking place. Who is actually creating the division? Is the people that you are telling one set of people to blame the people that are to be blamed for the circumstance? Or is it actually the people who created the circumstance overall? So that's what we got to be mindful of, so that the circumstance does not get violent.
Yeah, I was having some conversation with the group where that I was, anonymous Miss, good night to you. She was stating that it is interesting that over the last few years that the whole world was about being in control of your own bodies, yet now want to force people to do what they want. And I said that's a valid point, because I remember being very young, and you constantly saw the United Nations reiterating about the rights of people, the right to do this, the right to free speech, the right to choose, the right to this. And right now, you don't see that stuff on TV because it is not in alignment with the current narrative that's being pushed. And if you do that, then you give the people who don't want to conform the opportunity to valid excuse me, to continue to have a valid argument, because it went from the wearing of masks, sanitizing, social distancing, to that not being relevant anymore, to vaccination, and anybody who came up with an idea or point scheme to say, okay, this is the reason why you don't want to do this. They always had comebacks for that. They always had a rebuttal for it, and it always played in a way where that it was even more divisive, as you would say, Tyrone, because truth be told, I had conversations with some people over the past week, and when I broke it down as to why they would have chosen to either be vaccinated or not be vaccinated, I can start on those who chose to be vaccinated. Very few people chose to be vaccinated because of, oh, well, I got elderly people at home, or oh, I got this person with a comorbidity at home, and this is the reason why I did it. A lot of people are going on it because they just want to be back outside. A lot of people are doing it because I want to be able to travel again. A lot of people are doing it because my workplace is forcing me to make this choice. So I got to choose between my livelihood and what it is that I want to do with my life. And I have told people, you cannot truthfully be thinking that you are making a choice when in fact you don't have a choice. Think of it like this. Janelle will understand this here, and Tyrone, you will get to know this too, because you are a father, a newborn father. You just get to a point, right, where that usually are, in order to speed up the process of feeding my child on mornings or picking out a set of clothes to wear, you can say, well, XYZ, you want to wear this or you want to wear this. When you know both, when you know full well these two things you good with, but you're giving the child the illusion of choice to make them feel as if they are being part of the grand scheme of things. But you cannot be making a real choice when it is that the odds stacked against you. And it's not that I can say, okay, you know what? I don't want to be vaccinated, but I still want to travel. No problem, Chad. You can travel, but these are the conditions under which you could travel. So don't think nothing. We ain't gonna get on if you got leprosy or nothing so. But you're going to understand that it can be a little longer and a little more inconvenient for somebody like you to travel. But still yet, my decision is respected. And that's not what's going on right now. You are basically being backed to a wall, and you either going to decide, you know what, I can either stick to my guns and not do this thing, or I can just follow the train, because again, my hands up in the air. I got my hands up in the air now. And that's really and truly what it comes down to. So this thing is slowly but surely going to a point of not really being able to choose. Tell me how you feel about that.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and they're not even with your thing. Because when Tyrone was speaking, going into you, my whole thing was, and then in terms of the comments on any chat, that like he who controls the media controls the rhetoric, right? They will control the opinions of persons. That is what's happened. So when somebody asks if it's a choice, or if it is if there's a division, if it's a choice, you really are not getting a choice, because you are being fed certain things and it would push you in a particular direction. You are hearing a particular rhetoric. Now, I know people who are very pro-vaccine because they think that is for the best, and that is fine. And I have doctors who agree and doctors who actually disagree with that too. But my whole thing is that when you are persuaded with the other side of it, right? You are showing all the glamorous side, and that is what is making you. And as Chad said, sometimes even in your workplace, they're not telling you to be vaccinated, but they are encouraging you. They're encouraging you to make the better choice. All of that is you people controlling the narrative and telling you, which then is taking away your choice. So then you end up then being thrown into that corner, vaccine corner, as you say. And look, you will just go and you get, you know what? If I don't get this vaccine today, I ain't gonna get it next week. I ain't gonna get it next month. It coming, so I could as well go and get it now. Your workplace say, well, we want you to travel to the Bahamas in December. What does that say to you? For me to get to the Bahamas, I have to get to the US, right? And after November, the USA is saying I can only come there. And that is national, because you were asking about that, Tyrone. You have the national laws, and then you will have state laws. And the national laws will govern unless the state says otherwise. So the state would then have to go and then challenge that national law. So you're putting a national law in place, everybody has to vaccinate. Your word is Sunday, you have to go to the Bahamas in December. What are you going to do? Well, I could go along, I could as well go along again. No, that is what's happening to our people. That is what you have family members who are saying, our elderly should be vaccinated. You are against it because you do not know how it's going to affect the elderly. So now you're put in that position to say no, that if I say yes, that my grandmother is vaccinated and something happens to her because of the vaccine, that's on me. If I say she's not to be vaccinated and then we give her, and then somebody gives her COVID and then she ends up dying with all these people just dying, that then is on me. So then people are now feeling like, oh my gosh, so then what am I to do? And then the only option they're seeing, because that's why it's coming, is to vaccinate the persons, because they don't want that then the death of the person because they were not vaccinated, and somebody brings home the what is this, the flu times 3. Somebody brings that home and then they get hit, then it is on them again. So people are definitely being backed into a corner. I think that is the division. That is that the choice is to make the vaccine choice. That is what people are being faced with. The lady, the lawyer lady, she was saying, you hold out as much as possible. But if the law is to change tomorrow, you gotta start telling yourself, which vaccine will I take? Which is putting you right back in that going towards being vaccinated, even if you're for it or not.
We ain't here, so right. Go ahead, Tyrone. I didn't know what to say something.
Right. But, so my thing about it is this, right? Because there's a lot of rhetoric in the media that also says another term that they just throw onto people and let people be defined by vaccine hesitant. A lot of it is there's a lot of people who are not vaccine hesitant. It's a hard no, really and truly. So it's like how when they designate somebody as vaccine hesitant, the verbiage then comes into how do we convince these people? And I'm not saying that there aren't people who are in that category legitimately vaccine hesitant, but there are also people who have a hard no. And when you decide in your mind that somebody who decides within themselves to take their own consequences for not taking health-wise, for not taking your jab, and you say, oh, well, this person deserves not to participate in society because of that choice, then what really are you saying, or who really are you when you look back at history? Who really are you when you say this person who has decided not to go with the mainstream establishment narrative and says a hard no, and they expect that, they will suffer their own consequences because they made their own decision. You say, you know what? Basically throw them in jail for that. That's what you're basically saying. Because if you don't want them to participate in society, even though you have decided to protect yourself with your mask, distancing, sanitizer, lack of movement, two vaccines and a booster, and all the rest of it, and you still feel like this person should not participate in society, who really are you? Are you thinking with your own mind there? Because that's my thing is, that is the kind of division that people propagate. Because this argument is not like a religious argument where people could say, all right, me and Janelle had an argument over, let me say, atheism and Christianity. right? And it's how this psyop works, and people don't understand it. If you decide that I am an atheist and Janelle is a Christian, and we have an argument, we walk away, both of we steaming, we vex, we go along. An argument like that can end up having an impact on the people involved in the argument 2 minutes afterwards, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years later. Janelle, who might be a Christian, can say, you know what, Tyrone was right. Or I, that might be an atheist, might say, you know what, Janelle was right. And because there's nothing tangible, no action had to be taken. Even if you let I get baptized, there's nothing tangible to hold on to that cements you into your stance. But when you act on what is basically has to be recognized by nobody, all people as propaganda, the barrage of everything being focused news-wise in one area that we don't care about GDP, price gouging, water wars, poverty circumstances. We don't care about anything else. Propaganda is what's going on. Is what we're saying going on. So when you are controlled completely by propaganda, you've acted on the propaganda. You've taken a decision that you've made in your life, and you cannot reverse. You can only your line is now drawn in the sand. You can only defend that position, because it makes no sense me having a discussion with you. Why would I discuss with you as to why I should take the vaccine or shouldn't take the vaccine? If I believe this or I believe that, if you've already acted on what you believe, you can't reverse the decision. You can only defend it now. Mm-hmm. Even if you had doubts at the beginning stage, you've now accepted the propaganda based on whether it be fear, wanting to travel, don't want to disappoint your friends, whatever it is that you decided to take the vaccine. You have drawn your line in the sand, or you're going to find a lot of people who might have had hesitancy before. From the time they say, "She's on 4 people there yesterday," and the fear drives them to get the shot, they immediately change the why don't all of you get the shot so they can get back to normal, because that's the carrot that's being dangled. You understand? Right. But if you throw a razor blade rope to a man drowning in 3 feet of water who believes that he is drowning, he will grab for that razor blade rope.
Yeah, he can take every cut. He can take every cut. Because that's desperation, and that's what it's coming down to. So you see, it's
a psychological circumstance.
Right, it sounds psychological. And you see, what I was trying to talk to with Shane, because Shane is asking some questions in this group, right? I believe that it's just like you moving like a pendulum. You swinging from one aspect to another. Currently, the conversation is about COVID-19 vaccines being able to go back to a sense of normal. However, we still believe commonsensibly that everybody has the right to choose what they introduce into their own body. As far as I'm concerned, right, as a man that is operate and is vibrate off of common sense. As far as I am concerned, Janelle's decision ain't got jack shit to do with mine. Tyrone's decision ain't got nothing to do with mine. Mine ain't got nothing to do with either of the two. That is how I feel. For me, there's an open and shut conversation. All of this thing about this and that and this repercussion and that repercussion, or this boy label, is that the only label you ever get? Brother, man, I had dreadlocks, brother. I am a 6'3" dark-skinned man that had but long dreadlocks. And I got a whole bunch of tattoos on my skin. What are you talking about right now? You can't be telling me, but this is the only label that you deal with when you for in your life, and this thing, brother. I assuming that you're a black man. Just being black alone, even in your own country that's predominantly black, you go through things every single day because of the color of your skin. And you're trying to tell me that you don't think that me deciding based on the entire narrative that is floating around in the air, in the news, in the world as we know it today, me choosing not to introduce a thing into my body that I am not completely comfortable with does not come with a stigma that labels me as something that I don't care to be labeled. This is where justification of the bullshit does come in. because, oh, I choose to be over here, so I am right because the narrative supports my decision. Brother,
That is it. That is it.
you moving like a clown. That conversation is clown behavior. Because if we're standing there in the barbershop talking as men about the sort of haircuts that we're supposed to get because that's acceptable for a workplace. Or child, you're not supposed to got the hair like this long. You're supposed to go a ball cut like Tyrone because that's acceptable in the workplace. But the other ethnic groups could grow their hair, flick it back and one, got a messy man bun or whatever it's called it, and that's okay. We're talking about, we just always constantly be making points and validity for powers that be that don't give a shit about us. Why are we so blind? Why are we so silly? Why are we so argumentative for the wrong things? If a person decides, you know what, ketchup is a poison for my body, but you choose to eat ketchup, oh Christ, let the man decide he don't want to deal with the ketchup. It will take, oh, he went take the ketchup, he catch a serious adverse reaction and dead. Oh, cha. That's why you got a connoter. That's why you really got a connoter. Well, look, this thing is saying else here. This thing got a lot of people on the wrong side of thinking, reasoning, and when they don't grasp how serious this thing is.
Correct.
And you know what's the real fucked up part, dog? Is the fact that 10, 15 years down the line, we gonna look back at this shit and be like, yo, you know, back in 2020, we upon some bear shit, yo. You know that there's a BS that we upon.
It always happens.
But it always has to be that we do the hindsight is 2020 as opposed to foresight. That's why it's always got to come out. And we mentioned this numerous times on this podcast, that it is always the fact that we don't look back at history to understand what the present and the future directions will be. And that nothing under the sun is new to this planet. There's absolutely nothing new. It's just recycled armament, is recycled ammunition. Talk to me about what's going on in the tech. I just see it talking, so I ain't getting to read it.
No, we really listen to you, Chad. We honestly, we really on you. It's just that we were saying that, you know, you should be able to have a position and not feel that you're being victimized by it. Or exactly. You should be open. You should be exactly. Open-minded to other person's decisions. Or just you can have your stance and be open to listening to others and not you there, so you being critical and stuff. And then Anonymous said something that I wanted to raise, the fact that I wouldn't say exactly what she said, but you see how garbage about asking or declaring if you are vaxxed or not. Miss me with it. What next? Me walking about and asking people if them got crabs. Nobody know me walking around asking anybody if they have any STIs or anything like that. And we doing the most in this society. So I do not like that either. They say you talking, you see somebody putting around, say, wait, you ain't get vaccinated? Like, what? Seriously, that is your thing? You ain't gonna ask me for my children or nothing. Ask me if I get vaccinated. What does that have to do with you? All right, and that is that. Them things was really. And because that is your steering of your conversations, that then is where you have a lot of the division coming as well. Because everybody, they're seeing through these binoculars of vaccine. No vaccine. That is where I get very thing about it. You have people who have family members, and yes, they may be aged, who are dying. A friend of mine, I grew up with this guy. He was against the vaccine. His mother ended up getting it. She did have health issues before, and she passed away. Rest in peace to her. And I know that it must be weighing on him heavily, and whomever would have had it that took it into the house or whatever, very, very, very heavily. You have people who are dealing with their families. You know, nobody. Let us be more empathetic when we're talking about these things and understand that everybody is going to have their opinion and everybody is also dealing with their baggage. Stop pushing the agenda. Look, you know, we came up with this topic, right? This topic 2 weeks ago. Since then, the numbers would have doubled in terms of things. The number of people dying daily, all those changes. And then this morning, you're going to see a viral video of a ministry official telling people, children, no, you see, I could have switched my mind and say, you know what, I can carry my son tomorrow. He said he's ready. If he's ready, no problem. But when you go and you're telling 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds to tell their siblings, not just the parents, to go and tell the older brother and sister that they're doing them harm. You imagine my son, my daughter getting my son face and telling him so? I would say, you old harder. You don't be telling him that. You don't make it seem as though because he is not comfortable with this here yet, or even if he was comfortable with it, but that was not for you to say. Are you telling you as a 5-year-old telling him that he is doing you harm because he refuses to go and get a vaccine? Well, he ain't get back to school no time soon, so it made a difference. Then I Kita. Those things that's what is causing the division, and that's why when people are making this very black and white, and Jessica said it. The world is not black and white. This is not a black and white situation. Do not push it from that agenda point of view, because then you really will see, as Tyrone said, that this is a whole propaganda, and it is really a shit show. We are just being put. We are the puppeteers. We are the puppets, and the puppeteers are pulling our strings. That's all we are playing into their hands when we do that. Those are my concerns. Respect each other, respect people decisions, respect people houses. Don't come in anybody's house standing up foolishness. Respect people though. I could sit on my class and I tell my students, and I don't have a script, but I would tell them, if you are comfortable with that decision, that is up to you. If you're not comfortable with that decision, that is up to you. You talk to your parents. Any media to decide for you. In the government to decide for you, in me to decide for you. That is a decision that you will make for yourselves. Don't let anybody rent any space in your head. I tell them that, all right? And it is okay to make that decision because that is your decision. And you should not feel as though you're wrong for making the decision to get vaccinated or not to be vaccinated. That is how you should speak to the people, children. That's how you should speak to the people. And you know what will actually happen? More people might actually turn around and be vaccinated. They just might, if that's what you wanted. But no. Be talking down to everybody as though they're children. You talking to grown adults in chats as though they're children. You telling them about the history of this and that thing. No, come on. I'm over it though. That's the truth. Kita, good night.
Good night. Good night.
Yeah, open there so let the people know how you feel.
You know that Jamaican,
where you stand, how you
feel. I was listening to it all right when it was getting here, right? I'm preparing, but a Jamaican meme keep popping up in my head with that woman is saying, "We need justice. We need justice." I just feel as though we need justice. This is foolishness that's going on over here. Propaganda. But what I said, when I already said already, like I share the same exact sentiments as y'all. From someone that is vaccinated, because I am vaccinated, and I still feel as though this is a force event where is make people uncomfortable to the point where to submit is like a finishing move in wrestling. I don't even know how to explain it. It is the absolute worst we are as a society right now. Like these sort of conversations I actually overhear, like even walking through the mall where we work. Like with people with vaccinations is just ridiculous. I don't even know where to begin. People asking people, "Wait, you vaccinated yet? What you ain't vaccinated yet?" And like that's
that's where we are as a society. It's very, very important.
And it's sad.
Everything else has taken a backseat.
But you know what's really concerning for me, and my time of this will probably 10 years of what good thing government ever given you
for free. For free, correct?
Yeah, what good thing that government has ever given you for free? It's interesting. It's very interesting though, but I understand both sides, and I would never ever know anybody for being vaccinated. I would never know anybody for not being vaccinated because it's all about choice. I don't see people making these arguments about same-sex marriage and the whole LGBTQ and all the rest of that relationships, about the choice and being pro this and being pro that. But all of a sudden, everybody is pro-vaccine and pro-anti-vax, and the fight. And I know the topic to this evening is anti-vax versus vax, and if they can come to fighting and that sort of thing. I can say no. My answer is yes. It will come to fighting. It will come to fighting. I can see it going in that direction. Because when you push one agenda over and over and over, and people just buying it and saying, well, no, these people is the problem and these people is the problem.
Exactly.
You set it up.
Exactly.
You are the Vince man of society right now. The government being Vince McMahon of the WWE, saying that these fights and gassing it up, and yeah, that's literally what it's right now.
Promoting it, correct? That's an excellent analogy. That is an excellent analogy. WWE. That is an excellent analogy.
Yeah, but Keita, you said something before when you started that we need justice, but based on the opposing teams, justice looks like a completely different thing. One side's justice is another side's detriment, and vice versa. So it depends on where you stand, my brother, to determine whose justice is justice. But here, so I was reading something that I wanted to talk. There was something that come up that it sparked something in my head, but it completely jumped on my head there. So risk assessment should be individualized, correct? Or Keita, if you don't mind me asking, right? Because you mentioned that it was more like a forcing because of the business that you work for, that this was something that was going to eventually come down the pipeline to Barbados, correct? Because you would have been told that abroad, the parent company already start doing it that way. So that basically blends into what it was that I was talking about in terms of true choice, versus being backed into a corner. Because I know full well, if you had a choice or you were not just trying to be proactive by not waiting until the last second, you would not have gone forward for that vaccination. That's yes or I on the right path or not really?
Not necessarily on that format. Like, I know that it might not even necessarily have anything to do with employment. I just know that slowly but slowly, every corner of society is going to push you in that direction, given the narrative that's going on right now. Yes, that's one of the decisions which really led to me going ahead with that, along with some other personal decisions with family and stuff. But if it was up to me, my decision would be otherwise. That's the truth. I mean, at the end of the day, it is up to me, but given the conditions and so on, that is where I'm at right now.
Okay. Oh, sure.
As I said before, I stand with both parties. I'm not saying that I am pro on any of the sides. I am just a person who is open to learning new things and knowledge on both situations, because there's no one that can say definitively yes to everything on one side or yes for anything on that side. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I got something to throw here.
So,
how do you feel about the fact now that doctors seem to be getting lazier now? It seems as if every time that you would show a doctor, I feel a little they're mature. All of a sudden now, these are the way.
Rejecting work. You're going to get a test.
You get 5 words. You get 5 words. Go get a COVID test.
Yes, yeah.
So I feel like it's a lazy COVID couple. Tyrone, talk to me, man. You got
how you get so much people going down to Carson Point and going into isolation. People don't. When you don't understand the full context of what is happening, it is a self-propagating situation. It's very cyclic. Exactly what you said. A bunch of clinics, private hospital, private doctors, everybody, pretty much telling everybody before they come to see them or even bring the children, you go and get a test. Anything you tell somebody is wrong with you nowadays, because COVID has no particular individualized symptoms. Realistically, anything could be COVID. We really, really look at it in the qualitative there. So any kind of discomfort, they send you for a test. If by chance your test comes back positive, your renal failure, your appendix that bursts, your whatever that is wrong with you, you now become a COVID case, and they're going to hustle you and your family members and everybody into isolation and quarantine. And you, because of the large influx of positive cases going to these places, you telling somebody, you know what, I think it's actually my appendix that bursts or wherever, people only hearing Chad or Keita, you got COVID positive. That's all them seeing you as.
So COVID bursting appendices.
So when you get pain somewhere, you might think, you might assess the situation.
Yes.
And you say, no, this might be this. Nobody really want to hear what you think is actually wrong with you. If you've got this problem, if you're asthmatic, if you just get whatever, it is you're a COVID case, get you to the COVID center. So when you got so much people headed down to these places now, and everybody can be assessed individually at the same time, you say no there, let me say, for example, when you appendix burst and a COVID positive, when your appendix burst, when you dead, let me say you dead, your situation get bad enough that you dead, what is going to happen to you? Tell me what you think is going to happen to you.
You died from COVID.
You will be added to the long list.
Yes, you died from COVID. You died because you have COVID. Yes. That is what is going to go on your death certificate.
We saw in Barbados today the girl talking about her situation with her mother and how she didn't get her diabetes medication and such for 6 days. She was dehydrated, and there was again all kind of different things. I've heard another circumstance, this is hearsay, let me just preface that, of a man that did not have diabetes being given insulin and he swelled up big. All kind of situations can happen when you have a not strategically focused medical response, but a broad spectrum situation created by anxiety and fear that everybody can't now go and see their individual doctor or go to the hospital. They got to go and get a test first. You're going to get don't even let me get started on the test. You're going to get a whole set of positives within that mass of people going to get tests every day. And then those people are going to be sick for whatever reason. And you're creating a backlog and overworking the well-intentioned but maybe sometimes ill-advised medical staff at these places, and you're creating iatrogenic death. Iatrogenic death, by definition, is death by medical mistake or medical malpractice, not necessarily intentional, but it is the third leading cause of death in the world after heart disease and cancer. Doctors who might not necessarily be clear on your circumstance might be well-intentioned, but you end up dying at their hands. That is iatrogenic death. And I believe, this is my personal belief again, a lot of what is happening right now is what is happening up there and in the isolation facilities.
And just to add on to what he was saying, I'm sorry, Kita, just to add on what you were saying though, what's also happening is because of these things, people are fearful. So then they're more than likely to not if something else was hurting them, but when they're hearing, like all these numbers and things, they start feeling real sick, and it might be their sinuses, but they're gonna get tested. I want to be sure. And that all of that is what is complicating the situation, because people are acting more impulsively. They're acting more impulsively than that was necessary. And then to your point in the beginning about families and things, the doctor is not seeing people. A friend of mine, daughter had a fever for 2 days. She's 2 years old and the doctors refused to see her. It is only then when the fever broke and then she ended up with a rash on the body and stuff like that, then they realized, okay, clearly it's not COVID that the child had. It was another condition, and that's when then the doctor said, well, we'll treat her for this here. 2 whole days. Suppose that fever didn't break. Y'all know how it is, but babies, you can't play with that. That's what's happening. Or that's where we get to know. Go ahead, Keita.
All right. Keita, you have something to say there?
Wait.
So I got to address this.
Yeah, it was just-
Shane here again. But let me know when you're done. I can address it.
I was asking a question to everybody. What your response is when somebody asks you if you're vaccinated? Like, what is your response? Is it more of a that's none of your business? Is it a stern walk away? Is it a conversation divider right now for you if somebody asks you about vaccination status? What was your take? Like, what's your response to person bringing up vaccinated conversation? Because try to remember with me, you had this conversation with a fellow in your barbershop a while back, and your mother flipped the table and was like, "If you're vaccinated, you against it." And this and that, turning forth, and I'm like, "How we get to this discussion?"
So you asking me how we feel about that?
Like, if somebody come up to you and asks you, like, that was like the leading point of the conversation, and that is determining the conversation, like.
Well, you know, the thing about life, right, Peter, is that there will always be people who have a particular stance on any given topic, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I believe that the reason for conversing is for everybody to, come together. You state where you stand, I state where I stand. Sometimes we could find middle ground. Sometimes you could find that where you stand is probably archaic in thinking, and you will come over to the new age of thinking, or vice versa. That's the beauty about conversing. The issue does come when people are so adamant and so stuck in a way of thinking. And it can happen to young people, because a lot of people think that you only get stuck in your way when you reach over 40, over 50, and so on. If you are a person that you believe that there's nothing else for you to learn, you have already become archaic. Because that's the thing about life. There's always something new to learn. There's always, when last you think about it, I didn't know that I saw you. I learned something new today. We just all do that at least once a week. If you're talking or being in contact with people that just challenge you or talk to you on separate issues, topics, whatever. But that conversation, like when we were inside the barbershop, and I told the guy from the beginning, just so you know, this is me talking to him. You was there, Keita, so you would know, but the rest won't know. I say, just so you know, I am not for, neither am I against. I believe that I am what you call agnostic, just like how you could do for religion.
Religion, yeah.
But my man basically said, because I am for it, I am against it. And I is this, and I is that. And I was like, he already started the conversation on a note that we will get nowhere, because he already done show me he's not open to learning anything. He's not in a position to... go ahead.
No, not to cross you, but that's purposeful. Do you remember George Bush Jr. when they were going to invade the Middle East, and he was basically had that exact same rhetoric? If you're not for us, you're against us. That's correct. Exactly what is done in collectivism propaganda. Mm-hmm. We are over here on the good side doing the righteous thing. Right. If you're not over here on here doing the righteous thing, then you're a anti-vaxxer or whatever. So they put you over there, and you are to be marked as bad, and you are to be blamed for everything, and not me that says you can't go out after 9 o'clock. The actual person that said it. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you good. You good to go. Janelle, will you want to hop in there up on what Keita was asking?
No, sorry about that, because I got distracted with work.
Well, Keita was
my apologies. What Keita asked?
Keita was basically asking about whenever you, or go ahead, Keita, repeat it for her.
Thank you.
I was basically asking what your response is like when somebody asks you about the vaccine. Like, how do you approach conversations with persons asking you about the vaccine? What is it? What is a typical conversation like in your neck of the woods as it pertains to the vaccine? Then,
well, first of all, people who know me are so foolish. Right? That to be quite honest, usually any conversations I have about the vaccine will be with the persons who I'm most close to. I have people who will send me information. I will send them information. But if I see somebody on the streets or whatever and they ask me that, like I have learned to play off things very, very easily now. It was hard for me before, but I can change conversations. Somebody might message me something somebody don't communicate with often, and I will respond to the second thing or the third thing in that question sequence and not to anything to do with the vaccine in itself. But because I don't come into contact with many persons and I respect people's opinions, I don't generally have any, in the debacles or anything like that. I don't get in a back and forth thing or anything with people generally. And if somebody shares their opinion or they even want to ask me if I'm vaccinated or not, certainly you can ask me. Don't mean that I can answer. And two, if I do answer, you want to continue the conversation of why you did or why you didn't. No, I ain't playing that game with you. So that's me.
No problem. Cool. I hear reading the comments to see what's going on. I ain't comments because comments are hot. The comments look hot.
And that had me too, because somebody messaged me about work, but the comments when the guy was talking about, he's saying with the fever and thing, my head started to get to swell, because when you got children and children sick and you don't know what is wrong or what you're doing is not helping, you reach out, right? That's what you're supposed to do. You reach out to somebody who should be knowledgeable in it. And then if they tell you, well, I can't help you, what was he saying? So that had me.
Right,
and also
at the end of it, all this thing just came about. It can't be the root cause for everything. Like, let me just apply a modicum of common sense, please. It cannot be the beginning and the end. So anyhow, as I said, let me start to.
Tyrone was there asking.
I just wanted to ask you that question because he came in just to kind of focus back on the topic. I try not to go off on tangents. You said you think that it would become violent, and I agree with you. Do you have an idea or an inkling as to on what platform, foundation, over what specific issue, where exactly do you see and what exactly do you see it becoming violent over?
Things are going to continue to get good in that direction based on, as Janelle was saying before he came on, who controls the media, controls the rhetoric, right? So basically, once you see the media pushing this again over and over and over, the people that are on the bridge because of what they're being influenced by going to fall into that direction, even because they may or may not have done their research. They can go with and think that everything that they hear in the media is correct, and they can see that they can go in that direction. People that do their research or made their decision already stand strong. People can say, and you're being consistently told, like how the same woman was telling the little children to tell the older children or older siblings or parents to take the vaccine. That agenda getting pushed coming from all different angles. So once all these things happen at the same time, there will be conflict. And I can see that I don't want to guarantee you, but I know within the next, I would say 4 to 6 months, that I know that we said on a job about the Lando Seal thing and what's not, and the letter that came out that allegedly came out and that was written bad and what's not, but things going in that direction. Down the job, I know for a fact that things going in that direction. And when you stop people from being able to make money and work and that sort of thing, that's where the conflict comes from. And it's not going to be pretty. It will indeed not be pretty.
But that, I wanted to touch on that before you guys jump in really quickly, though, that my experiences with certain businesses, and that one in particular, is going to be on the other side, okay? Before there are a few people who actually came out and said what shoppers in their thing. I knew that because I grew up in the area, so I know already. People who work in those types of businesses will continue to work in those types of businesses regardless of what the middle class people and whoever else on the outside go and tell them. The people who shop in those businesses will continue to shop in those businesses regardless of what or whoever on the outside is saying to them. Yep. So they don't care. You could say whatever. You can go into that particular establishment and get $2 in rice. You can't do that when you're going pop in the supermarket or you're going whatever. You could get whatever you want way out. So if you're going there so with $20 to buy 10 things, you can be guaranteed that you're gonna get them. The quantities obviously will be very small, but what they do now, I ain't saying that I disagree with how the workers are treated. I ain't getting into that. But what they do is that they give opportunities for the ones who don't have, and they give opportunities for the workers too, who people do not employ. So when you tell the people to walk off a job at some place like that, who can hire them? China can hire them for his mobile business. Keaton and Bunny can hire them in a bank. You understand? Not even to clean or whatever. Who's going to hire them? I'm not speaking about all of them. I'm just saying that those establishments, so the power that they actually have over their workers and over their customers is much stronger because of what these people actually get compared to
I take your point, but I mean just the situation is abroad. Certain businesses have not allowed people to come back to work if you're not vaccinated. And Barbados obviously models itself on all anything that happens overseas demonstrate to get any gist of. And they just know that it will come down to that eventually, regardless of how much people you think that they got rights and things are there's human rights and right to choice and all that. We all know that once an agenda gets pushed, that's it. Just like how my man Kyrie Irving get like up in the NBA now for feeling that, you know. So I know for a fact that it can get to that, and people. Unfortunately, a lot of people here don't know how to express themselves without force. Everybody don't know to have like deep conversations or discuss things, and and the quickest thing we do is judge and act. So then people will eventually explode or implode, and it will get well. I know that for a fact.
Shall you see time?
You there ready?
Yeah, I know.
You imagine that?
I know realize out there, so but for me, wanna know full well, I just come with hard hitting facts, right? But forgive the little sniffles there, please don't call the unit for me. There's the thing. Even to this day, we can have opinions on top of opinions on top of opinions. The reality is that this thing is still killing less than 1% of the people that it touches. Regardless of how you feel, regardless if you want to be vaccinated or unvaccinated, the reality, people, this is not my saying, this is not my numbers, these are the numbers that people give you. And I also spoke to people who were reading the situations wrong, because you're seeing a lot of numbers, you're seeing a lot of jargon, you're seeing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, all of that there. People are misunderstanding what the numbers are really saying. And
I don't think it's misunderstanding. I think it's forceful misdirection, but continue.
Well, at the end of the day, the facts state that the less than 1% of the people who catch this thing are succumbing to it. And then even if we were to say, well, look, offer me the opportunity to learn about the majority of persons who succumb to the illness, then you're going to learn a big set of them, SECT, as Tyrone would have alluded to. A big portion of them is elderly people that basically were on their way out. Condolences to the people who are related to their family, etc. We mourn your losses. But the fact of the matter is that the numbers are telling us what is really going on, regardless of if you is a doctor, a pharmacist, a this, a that, you got a degree in this, it does not matter. The numbers are telling the true story. I am not fabricating them because I got that kind of power. I got technology to do it.
You have them? But you can't just give the people that understand it?
No, unfortunately, the last thing that I saw was it was 11,300 and something, I believe, that were cases. And then it is now 101 that is dead.
I think it's 106. I think the last mortality rate that I worked out was 0.88. It has to be somewhere around there. That's the 1%, 0.88. But that is based on, just to give just to give the people an understanding, because everybody don't understand this, is just take the deaths and you divide them by the cases, right? And obviously multiply by 100 to get the mortality rate. It works out to be 0.88 the last time I checked it, and that is less than 1%. Now, if you take the cases that we have right now officially 11,000 or something like that, and you say, you know what, in actuality, like we all know, that is not the amount of cases that we actually have. It quite probably is double that, or triple that, or quadruple that. Now, if you take those numbers, then you say you have 11,000 now, you say it's actually 4 times that amount. 44,000 people out there have COVID, but they have it because and not know, you know, because they're quote unquote asymptomatic. When you take that figure and you put it into the same equation using the same amount of deaths that we have right now, what happens? The mortality rate goes down significantly, and then you have to also plug in population growth. It goes down again. So are we really in an emergency circumstance, or are we being purposefully misdirected towards sensationalism of deaths created by a manufactured crisis created by an overwhelmed health system, directing everybody for COVID tests rather than individually dealing with people? Just my thought process on it.
All right.
Well,
this was another good conversation, people. We thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Up Inside Your podcast. Thank you, Tyrone. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Keita. Thank you, Media Productions, for having our box every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Remember, people, continue to like, continue to subscribe, and continue to share this podcast. We gotta get this thing out there. Yeah, we the best, don't talk. So have a good night, people.
We the best.
Thank you so much. Real thing.